All right, well, I want to thank real quick our session sponsors today, Air Renew Drywall. With Air Renew Drywall, you can ensure your client's air is clean with Certainty Air Renew Drywall, indoor air quality, first of its kind patent pending drywall that actively cleans the air by permanently removing formaldehyde. When airborne formaldehyde comes in contact with the board through normal air circulation, Air Renew Drywall captures that formaldehyde, converts it into safe inert compound, and keeping it safely within the drywall. Air Renew Drywall cuts, installs, and finishes just like any regular drywall and comes in Type X, moisture mold resistance for multiple situations. Indoor air quality tests prove that Air Renew permanently removes the formaldehyde. It has been validated by the ULE through their Environmental Claims Validations Program, and it works with most water-based acrylic and epoxy paints. All right, well, I want to welcome everybody to Optimizing the Indoor Environment for Health, Asthma, Allergies, and Building Materials. This course is approved for 1 hour in continuing ed, GVCI, AIBD, NARI Green, Certified Green Professional, Certified Green Home Professional, and new for this year and ongoing is also BPI non-whole house. It is also approved for the AIA Health, Welfare, and Safety, and through that it may be applicable to fulfill your design or contractor-based license within your state. Today I'll be your moderator. My name is Brett Little, and I am the Executive Director here at the Green Home Institute. Green Home Institute is a nonprofit with a mission to empower people to make healthier and more sustainable choices in the renovation and construction of the places we live. During today's session, we're going to mostly discuss IAQ issues within the home and then certified product standards that can help you and your clients overcome those particular issues. All right. So with that, I will introduce our first speaker, Courtney. Courtney is an MBA and the VP of Sales for the U.S. Asthma and Allergy Friendly Certification run by the International Scientific Standards Body, Allergy Standards Limited, and the patient advocacy group, the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America, AAFA. In this role, she focuses on brand partnerships and strategic growth with the heads of major corporations, including Procter & Gamble, 3M, Target, Owens Corning, Integral Rand, and the Benjamin Moore, as well as managing executive relations with retail stores such as Bed Bath & Beyond, Macy's, Home Depot, and Best Buy. So with that, Courtney, thanks for having us here, and I will hand it over to you to take it away. Can you hear me, Courtney?
Yes, I can. Just need to share. Oh, there it goes. Sorry, it took a second for me to be able to share my screen. And hopefully you all can see it now. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar. Also, thanks to the Green Home Institute and Brett Little for organizing this for us today. We love to hear from you, so please tweet us, #AllergyInsights. Today we'll be discussing how to optimize the indoor environment for health and how building materials can affect asthma and allergies. So don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. I'm not here to scare you into thinking everything in your house is toxic and hazardous, but it is important to understand the amount of dangerous toxins and irritants that we're exposed to every day. It's important not just for people with asthma and allergies, but also for anyone who just wants to live a healthier life and buy products that are made with safer and healthier materials. As Brett mentioned, we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. And with that, let's get started. So the agenda for today, I'll give you an overview of how to optimize the indoor environment for health, talk a little bit about who is Allergy Standards and our mission with the certification program. We'll dive into some consumer insights, trends that we're seeing, what's important to the target consumer, and how we're growing our global network. And then at the end, the CEO of Allergy Standards, John McKeown, will step in and discuss the standards and specific testing methodologies that relate to different categories of building materials. So this is me. I'm Courtney Suna. I'm based here in New York, New York. And we also have Dr. John McKeown on the line. He is the CEO of Allergy Standards. And John was an emergency room physician and pediatrician before he started the certification program more than 10 years ago. John, did you want to jump in and say a few words before we get started?
Sure. Thank you, Courtney, for the introduction. And Brett, thank you very much for the work you've put in for organizing this webinar, and we're delighted to speak to your audience. Courtney, as she said, is going to take us through the presentation, and then I'm going to jump in and do some of the science aspects at the end, and then more than happy to do some Q&A at the end. It is a really interesting area. It's one that we hope we can add some value to the audience today and give some insights. A lot of our research, and Courtney will go into this in the presentation, has shown that the trend of sustainability is now bringing in and embracing the concept of health as well. And also that people are very activated about this issue. Consumers, hopefully your audiences, the people that the audience of this webinar work with, they're very much engaged around the issue. They're asking questions, that they can do research about it, and it's becoming much more part of their buying criteria and their values hierarchy. So we hope to give some unique insights today, and delighted to answer some questions and speak to the group this evening.
Great, thank you, John. Just to start off on a slightly humorous note, for anyone who's thinking to themselves, I don't understand why we need a certification mark to tell me what's good or bad. Doesn't the government already control this for me? I just wanted to share some allergy labels that might surprise you. A carton of eggs reminds you that it contains egg. A bag of peanuts contains peanuts, and an ant trap, which I hope you do not eat, also contains peanuts. So when it comes to allergy labels on food, we may get a little carried away, but labels on the products that you're not ingesting is another story. So asthma, allergies, and building materials. I know many of you in the building industry are already familiar with the names of some of these chemicals, but you may not realize just how dangerous they are for people to have in the home, especially for people that are suffering from asthma and allergies. So I just want to get back to basics for anyone that's not familiar with what asthma is. Essentially, it's an immune response from a perceived threat, something that your body thinks is a threat, like pollen or dust. And it gives a response where your airways will actually close up, you'll start wheezing very heavily, and it can actually be deadly for people who have severe asthma. So there are medications and inhalers that you can take, but the best way is actually to avoid triggers in your home that cause asthma, because that will reduce your symptoms and also your reliance on medication as well. So how do I avoid it? As I mentioned, trigger factor avoidance is the most effective way to manage your symptoms. So these are just some basic examples of different allergens and irritants that you might find in the home. What I'd like to do is just stop for a moment and have you think about your own life and how this information could impact not just the people that you work with on a day-to-day basis, but your family as well. So if your child was diagnosed with asthma or allergies, what would you do? Safety is obviously most important to people when it comes to their families and their children. I'm just having a little bit of a tech issue. Maybe. Say if your child is sick, you want to give them proper care, love, and ultimately it comes down to anything. You would do anything to keep them safe, especially if they're coughing and wheezing and having allergic reactions. So there are a lot of hidden allergens at home. So just to go through different rooms in the house, we do offer certified products for each room in the house. So the bedroom, for example, is actually the largest source of allergens in the home. Not only are products like pillows, mattresses, and sheets made with harsh chemicals like formaldehyde that you're resting your head on every night and ingesting this into your airways, but they're also a source of accumulation for things like dust mite, cat hair, and pollen irritants. So not only should you buy products that are low or don't have these chemicals, But you also need to make sure that you're washing them frequently on high temperatures to remove any allergens that accumulate over time. In the kitchen, there's a lot of airborne irritants due to the fumes from cooking, so it's important to use surface cleaners that not only remove bacteria, but they also don't add a lot of harsh chemical irritants into the air when you spray them or wipe. You also need to make sure that you have proper ventilation systems and high-quality air filters that capture the particulates in the air. Ventilation and cleaning electronics like vacuum cleaners and washing machines are especially important. When certifying these, we look at the removal and retention capability during the in-use phase of the product. So for example, with vacuum cleaners, we'll certify Dyson and LG. Ingersoll Rand Trane has different ventilation HVAC systems and 3M furnace filters, and then we also certify LG washing machines. If you think about how much time you spend in your car, driving to work and back from work, if the air filter doesn't effectively trap all of the fume and smoke and irritants, how could that impact your health? As of recently, we now certify Mercedes-Benz cabin air filters, which is really exciting. In the bathrooms, humidity and chemicals can cause toxic home environments, so proper ventilation and cleaning products are important to maintain the air quality and cleanliness in the bathroom. And then just think about other sources of irritants in your home. Your pets, smoke, paint could all aggravate symptoms. So these are just some of the examples of hidden irritants at home and how it all started. The unfortunate truth is that what the government is saying and why we feel this program is necessary, how it all started. So this is directly from the FDA website. There are no federal standards or definitions that govern use of the term hypoallergenic. It's a marketing term, not a scientific term, so it means whatever a company wants it to mean. This is quite shocking to a lot of people when they first see it. The EPA is reminding us that we spend most of our time indoors and that indoor air is actually more polluted than outdoor air. So your symptoms could actually be worse inside than outside. Standards for allergen avoidance should be developed by consumer agencies because there's no governmental regulation for these claims. The Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute is saying that products bearing allergy-free or hypoallergenic are not subject to federal standard testing, and clinicians should help patients reduce their exposure and take steps toward doing that. So essentially what we do is we feel that our standards, our certification standards, are global standards. So they take best-in-class data and used worldwide, so you're not looking at variable regulations state to state or country to country. We cut through a lot of the greenwashing and green eco claims that are out there. Customers are just getting confused about what it means. And it's gotten to the point where consumers are not trusting brands anymore to give them the right information. And they're also not trusting governments. But the good news is they're trusting third-party certifications, they're trusting scientific data from private testing labs, and they're trusting nonprofit organizations. So there is hope to bring some clarity to this area. And then what you're seeing is the FTC actually coming after companies who are making claims without validation, whether it means green claims or hypoallergenic claims, and you'll see a lot of these lawsuits actually not just monetarily costing companies money, but it's also affecting their brand image as well. So really, what is this costing us? It's costing us visits to doctor's office, hospitalizations, emergency room, ER visits. It's a big drain on our healthcare system. The prevalence of asthma and allergies in America has doubled over the past 30 years, which is quite scary, and it's now affects more people than the other top 6 disease states combined. So it's a big problem. Asthma is the #1 cause of missed school days and the #1 cause of ER visits among children in the U.S. And it's actually a top global health concern, a top 5 global health concern around the world, not just a U.S. problem. So why get certified? This is essentially how we position ourselves to encourage manufacturers to get their product tested. As I mentioned before, people are cynical about brands. They're not trusting manufacturers' claims that they're eco or green, so it gives credibility and independent test results. It gives consumers peace of mind that they're making good decisions. As we all know, loyal customers continue to buy products, and they help increase sales by word of mouth. We work with retailers to set the bar and help them require our label when they're making allergy claims. It's an easily recognizable way for shoppers to choose safer, healthier products. We also provide data insights into the customer buying journey. We give education and healthy home tips, videos, article content for your websites, and consumer education to help manufacturers really tell the story of their journey towards certification and what it means to have a healthy and safe home. And then finally, customers are demanding certified products more than ever, and companies that are ignoring the needs of their consumers are missing out on an opportunity to relate to their consumer and build their brand purpose and tell their story. So I'm just going to jump quickly into who's Allergy Standards. So it's a global certification company that's led by a team of physicians. We prepare independent standards in different areas by a team of scientists. And then the standards are reviewed and approved by an independent medical board. And then products are tested through a network of approved laboratories around the world. So as of now, we have standards in about 20 different categories, ranging from textile products to air handling devices, flooring and insulation, air purifiers, sprays and wipes, washing machines, cleaning services. Every room in the house, as I mentioned, has a standard category, and we are developing more every year. So the mission of the certification program. First, we identify healthier products. We test them, and we make sure that they're safe for people with asthma and allergies, help manufacturers validate the claims that they want to make, and then consumer awareness. We want to get the word out. We want to help consumers cut through the jargon with marketing claims and choose products that are better and safer for them. So we partner with different patient advocacy groups with slightly different logos. The Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America is our patient advocacy group nonprofit organization partner here in the US, and Asthma Canada is our partner in Canada. We've been featured across all types of media, from Habitat for Humanity, QVC, the news stations, CNN, doctors, and have had a lot of great traction in this area and can help with physician ambassadors and really getting the word out through the right media. Retail stores, we help them build their educational content on their website about clean and healthy homes, and we can assist with educating store associates on the ground about what it actually means to be certified. So some different projects that we've done and are working on. One is with Habitat for Humanity, where we actually outfitted a home to be asthma friendly, and we did this in partnership with HGTV and Merck Pharmaceuticals and the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America. And we do a lot of children's events and advocacy events as well, especially with the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America and children who are affected by asthma and allergies, to try and help them and their parents make healthier choices. John and I will both do a lot of industry events. So this photo was actually from, some of you may have been there actually, the Living Future Sun Conference in Seattle last May, where he spoke about the certification program. And this is a nice little clip from a certified product giveaway that we ran through the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America, where we gave away over $600 gift basket of certified products, and we asked people to send in the stories of how they overcome their asthma or allergy symptoms. We do a lot of scientific content, publications, and articles. So this was one that we presented at Quad AI, which is the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, which is the largest conference in the world for allergists and immunologists. and we presented our research data around Stanley Steamer carpet cleaning and how we certified them to be asthma and allergy friendly. And some work that we've done with consumer reports in getting the message out that we are a great certification program backed by science, and is listed there next to Green Guard, Green Seal, and Green Y. We work with trusted influencers. So we've received an award from Congress. This is Congressman Brendan Boyle on the certification program. Dr. Bassett is actually quite well-known allergy doctor here in New York City. He's been on Oprah and Dr. Oz as well, and he's a great ambassador of the program. Some celebrity endorsements and spokespeople from different manufacturers in the program are great ambassadors of the program as well. This is me with Dr. Oz a few months ago, who thinks it's great to have a program that really teaches people how to reduce their triggers in their home environment as opposed to relying on medication. And then, of course, we work through our partner laboratories, rigorous science, best-in-class research, and a network of trusted laboratories. Moving over to some consumer insights. As I mentioned, 60 million Americans are affected. 40% of those are children. 40% of those children have experienced at least one life-threatening allergic reaction in their lifetime. The #1 purchasing factor for people whose family are affected is actually health and safety. And we're seeing this theme over and over, that people are getting more concerned about the health and safety of their families. Almost all of them prefer a third-party seal of approval when they're purchasing products. Over $40 billion was spent on allergy control products annually. 78% of people will pay more for safer products. 1 in 3 moms in America are now aware of the certification mark, and trust is highest with testing labs and nonprofit organizations over government and product manufacturers. I'm not going to play this video, but if you wanted to find it on YouTube, it's a nice interview that Owens Corning did where they spoke about their journey towards certification and the research into the millennial home buyer market, and they found that the certification mark for them was a slam dunk in the home installation segment. I'll just talk about quickly our global network. So Allergy Standards is headquartered in Dublin, Ireland, and we do have a partner laboratory there as well as another partner laboratory in Germany. Asthma UK is in the UK, and we have a number of certified products available throughout Europe. I am in the ASL New York headquarters, and the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America is down in Washington, D.C. It looks like these little buttons got kind of off where they were supposed to be, so I apologize for that. And we have a number of U.S. laboratory partners as well out in California, up by Chicago on the Northeast Corridor as well. And we have certified products all over the world, a lab in China, and we're really seeing growth. So I'm going to quickly hand you over to John, Dr. John McKeown, who will speak a little bit more about the standards and the science behind some of the products that we test and certify. John?
Yep, I was just unmuting my microphone there. Yeah, thank you, Courtney. What I'd like to do for the audience is just bring up the 2 main pillars of the program. One is the public relations platform and the educational content. And I think Courtney's done a lot of that already, bringing it through to the outreach, just to make it relevant with the audience. A lot of our brands we work with are looking at building brand relevance and brand loyalty and having a sense of connection and a sense of purpose with their communities. The old way of doing things cheaper and faster and stacking it high isn't working, and certainly in the, say, bricks retail, looking at ways of consumer engagement. I think all those things should transfer over into the audience here when we're looking at home building and people's homes and resonance with issues that matter to them. So that's one of the main pillars of the program. The other pillar is the science, and without credible scientific standards and testing, all the other content and the meaning and the connection is very unstable. And there are programs out there in retail that less than scientific, let's call it that way. So it's very important we have the second pillar, which is the sciences, which is what I'd like to take us through now. So on this slide, the testing facility, this is just some shots of laboratories we use. We have one lab based in Dublin, Ireland. We use a lot for the biological testing, the allergen and some microbiology work called Airmid Health Group. They're based in the Trinity Research Park, where we're also based. And this is an AHAM AC1 type chamber, walk-in climate control chambers with temperature and humidity, air exchange, airflow involved in it. We also have a ducting system that runs around the side where we can do infiltration studies and empty upstream and downstream air back into the chamber to look impact of air cleaning devices and so forth. And you'll see one of the technicians with a sampler actually testing some flooring, looking at the retention properties of floor coverings with the air mixer on and off. So that's the type of climate control chambers we use. We don't have all the expertise in one particular laboratory. We use that are specialist areas of analytical in California. We use another laboratory called IBR Research in Grass Lake, Michigan, who are particularly good at filtration. So we have a network in the particular areas we require. So next slide, please. So this is just to give you a sense of how we might go about testing and certifying. For this one here, we're looking at insulation products, and we generally follow these type of processes when we look at material products, whether it's a floor covering, paint, building materials. And first off, we'll start with a constituent review. We don't operate a flag list. It's not a red flag, but we will do a full review, looking at the constituents in there, looking at the levels that are in there, and then more importantly, as we get on to stage 4, we'll look at the outgassing, the emissions of it. We'll all know, the people on the audience, that analysis and constituents review doesn't always relate to what outgasses of a product, particularly when it's something that it starts off wet and has emission volatiles and skinning volatiles and things like that. So part 4, the emission chamber, is very much key to the testing we do. But we will start with the constituent review just to offer clients some guidance on how they're likely to perform when we get to the study part of it. And also we can move up and down the value chain where there are clients that may be sourcing various components or constituents from various sourcing partners, and we can go upstream and have a conversation with them. So as they are doing their own research and development and specifying products, we've had a conversation with them to help them, guide them on the selection criteria. When you're looking at an installation type product, obviously chemicals, the gaseous phase, but also the particulate phase. A lot of the products that we have seen when we've done a literature review about what is a good choice for people with asthma, allergic asthma, or hypersensitive airways, what are good choice products, and then what are products that would be not such a good choice and could exacerbate those symptoms. And there is literature to show products that have high levels of particulates during installation and during their life cycle would not be a good idea, and we have to actually look for that. And then we'll actually look at the ability to trap dust within the product, and then also other things as it's functioning, such as fungal growth or mold, or it could support other biologicals that could exacerbate indoor air quality. So it breaks down into three areas: chemical issues, the particulates or physical issues, and then the biological or aerobiology issues. Next. This is just to give you a sense of another end of the spectrum, as it were. We do have certification standards for books in each room of the home. That is very much the concept of the certification program, that it's a whole of house approach. We do spend the majority of our time. We do spend the majority of our time in the bedroom, so textile products are very important to the program. But we will look at certification standards in furnace filters, for example. I mentioned building material already. Obviously, electrical appliances are very important because once we've built the buildings and we've sourced sustainable products or products that actually have a healthier profile, then the incidental furniture is the next issue, which is key. But then the last issue then is how we maintain the building and how we clean it. And a lot of the existing building codes and building certifications and don't actually go beyond it to say, well, now we've built it, how are we going to maintain it in a low allergen and a healthy state? So we certify things that will impact and remove a trigger factor, source trigger factors, such as vacuum cleaners. So the vacuum cleaner is 6-part testing. The first one will, using those climate control walk-in chambers I spoke about a little bit earlier, we will put it in carpets and hardwood flooring and challenge them with our allergen control test dust with spiked allergens. We will look at a number of allergens, pollens, cat allergen, and dust mite allergens, because that gives you a good spectrum of the dynamics, the size of those particles and the weight to them actually behaving. So that's a good spectrum to look at of vacuum cleaners on allergens. During the intervention or vacuuming, we'd look at the pickup from the carpet, and we'd also look at exposure of airborne allergens during vacuuming. Often the beta bar or part of the vacuum cleaner can actually kick up allergen in the air. So we'll do a number of runs cleaner in the indoor environmental chamber. We'll also do a small chamber where we do a direct into it. And then what you're trying to do is really stress the engine, the seal of the engine, and the other filters in the machine on a direct feed. And while we will look at particulates, laser counters and things like that, we actually do a very specific immunohistochemistry absorbent assay, ELISA assay, for the target allergens that we're trying to follow through the system. And also goes right down to picogram levels with an augmented assay. We'll then look at the machine again when it's been stressed, so it's been partially filled. So we'll look at loading and then we'll look at bin emptying or bag emptying when the device is being emptied, and then we'll actually look at specifically cleaning in certain areas of the home, whether there's some certain types of floor coverings or other parts of the home. So it's a fairly comprehensive evaluation of pickup, maintenance of allergens in the system, and bin emptying. And those type of model existing ISO or IEC or even ASTM F11 type standards, but we specifically have focused them on allergen removal. So next slide, please. I think they're the science ones. Okay, and then we'll just finish up with flooring. Again, if you consider the principles of that on the insulation product, again, it's the same type. I won't go through it all again, but it's looking at potential for VOCs, targeting formaldehyde, acetaldehyde, so a chemical assessment, physical assessment, i.e. cleaning and how you maintain the product, and then the allergen assessment. And that is looking over time, again, placing the product into the environmental test chambers, looking at the build-up and removal profile of allergens, both on the surface the harboring or the hosting potential, as well as the ease of removal from the floor covering surface and the potential exposure of the person cleaning the floor while you're removing it. Again, 3 pillars of testing: chemical, physical, and allergen, conducted in a controlled fashion in the walk-in climate-controlled chambers. So, next slide, Courtney.
I just have some certified building product categories to look for. So these are not all of the areas where we have certified products. I just pulled out the ones related to building products for you. And if you have any questions, please submit them and we would be happy to answer them. And please follow us and at us on Twitter. We would be happy to engage with you afterwards. And thanks again, Brett and John, for this presentation.
Yeah, well, thanks, Courtney. Thanks, John. We got a lot of questions pouring in. We definitely got some time here for questions, so that's good. Want to spend some time in dialogue with you all. So what I'd like everybody to do is think through some more questions you have, drop them in there, and then as you're doing that, I just got to go through a couple other things here for you all. So real quick, huge thanks to our big sponsor this year, Shrinergy. Make sure to check them out. They've got emergency kit, solar power, and camping power as well for your clients if they're looking to get a more affordable way to have emergency backup power during those grid outages. And these batteries, they also are the battery and the inverter all in one. You've got the solar panel charge times 2 to 24 hours, wall plug 4 to 8. Car plug 4 to 6 if you're out in the camping in the shade. And what does it charge? Just all sorts of various things. 33 hours on the refrigerator, 16 hours so your clients can still watch the TV when the grid does go out. And just so you know, down here at the bottom, make sure to take a look actually by February 15th, that should say, you can use coupon code GHI solar battery for $300 off on that one. So yeah, more questions pouring in before I get to a few other things, and I'll just go ahead and start at the top of the list, Courtney and John, and we'll kind of go through them there. So one of the questions that I see there is that how often should carpet in the home be cleaned? Do you also know of any kinds of certifications for the actual companies who are doing it, or how would you look at ensuring the company is using the correct methods?
John, are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm using myself again there. Yes, cleaning, as I mentioned, cleaning is as a service and an intervention is something that is kind of overlooked really in the concept of buildings and how we maintain them. Our main client in this area is Stanley Steamer with a carpet cleaning service, and it's that we really want to extend the certification program into and look at cleaning schools, potentially hotels and other areas like that.
Great, thanks.
What you want to look at from a scientific point of view is it effective? Does the process remove allergens and triggers in the environment? So we have surface sampling kits that can do a before and after. Vacuum sample kits, even like a sellotape lift. But you want to make sure that cleaning doesn't just throw the allergens into the air. It's actually capturing them and removing them, rather than just redistributing them into other parts of the building or into the air. So when we are validating cleaning protocols, we will have air samplers going to look at the impact on air quality as they clean, And the other issue you want to look at is residual moisture. Some cleaning processes can leave a lot of residual moisture, which can have mold issues and things like that. So that's the other aspect we look at. But it's certainly a really key area we'd like to do more in.
Great, thanks. So this is a really fantastic question, I think. So as you all may know, the saying, or what we've been seeing lately, is sort of an effort to redact or take back the problem we caused in the past, where kids were not being exposed to germs, if you will, and overusing hand sanitizers, which have their own toxic issues, of course, antibacterial soaps. And so now it's kind of moved into a phase where we are, trying to encourage people to get outside, to stay clean, but, avoid antibacterials because there is good bacteria that we need. So does that same concept, according to this question, apply in the allergy world? Is there the opportunity that if kids aren't exposed to allergens young, by keeping everything away through these certifications and cleaner homes and healthier healthier spaces, could we be causing them issues?
Sure. It is a really good question, and it's one that will come up again and again with these type of audiences. So it's great to discuss it. There's a couple of things in the question. One is the concept of antibacterial products. Do we need antibacterials in our soaps? Do we need down to plastics and so forth? And the other one is what is broadly described as the hygiene hypothesis. So if I can just break those down and deal with them in two areas. The concept of bacterial agents in the products, do they work, or do they have really an advantage over normal hand washing with soap as a detergent? Probably not, and a lot of the EPA and FDA data now supports that it's really adds no value. And do they do harm? Yes, they do, because you're building up antibacterial agents that are getting into the groundwater. They're in our background. There's low levels of toxicity that can build up over time. So as an antibacterial concept, do we need those? I think the data is getting further and further away from that. And we don't necessarily think you need to use that. In fact, a lot of our Stanley steamer, for example, is using steam. We're removing allergens, bioburden that builds up, but they use it very low chemicals, and they use steam as a cleaning property. And even a lot of the laundry machines, washing machines that have silver nanotechnology, again, we're moving away from that completely. Certainly the EPA is very against that because it goes into groundwater. So that's the whole kind of antibacterial aspect. With regard to the hygiene hypothesis, and if we remove allergens, are we not challenging our immune system enough, and therefore it can cause allergies? Yes, I mean, there actually is some literature to suggest that. And in fact, in parts of old West Germany and East Germany, there is a very interesting study where the same population, so control for population, but one half of the village was in old East Germany, where they traditionally brought their animals into the home and so forth, and the other side of the village was West Germany, where they adopted central heating and modern living standards. The episodes of asthma and allergy were much higher on the West Germany side of the border. So there are other papers and literature about what they describe the hygiene hypothesis. And that's dealing with sensitization and developing it. And we're not sure what to do about that. Obviously, we can't all bring our animals in, and we don't want to go back to living in those type of ways. So that's not a solution. Where the evidence is very clear is if somebody is dust mite allergic or cat allergic, they should avoid their triggers. And that's really where we're focusing the program, that once you have had a patch test or a skin prick test, and you've identified what your triggers are, and that is what the National Heart, Lung and Blood Institute, what the National Institute of Health, what the American College of General Practitioners all advise. They say identify your triggers and then try to avoid them. That is where the program is targeted to. Somebody who's known allergic to something is trying to avoid it. The other aspect of the program is it is a whole of house, but it's also a whole of product, and it's holistic. So we don't just look at allergen triggers or bioburden triggers. We will look at chemicals like formaldehyde and other things that we should be avoiding anyway. So we think the products are better choices because it deals with chemical and allergen. But again, we aren't taking on the sensitization of the development. What we're really focusing these products in the certification on is people who haven't have a diagnosis and they want to avoid these triggers.
Great, thank you. So we got a few more questions coming in. Right before we get to them, we do want to thank all of our members, our board of directors, all of you for joining us. Big thanks to our sponsors, Build Equinox, CERV, Smart Ventilation, GeoComfort, Niagara Conservation, lowest flowing toilets on the planet, Panasonic Ventilation, Certainteed Air Renewed, formaldehyde eating drywall, and a big thanks to Shrinergy, our main solar and backup battery sponsor. And so for those of you looking to get your continuing ed, again, that will be sent to you through email. Check your spam there. Make sure to take the survey. We'll report AIA for you. For those of you watching this in the future on demand, make sure to complete the 10-question quiz with the 80% passing rate there. So another kind of very specific question that just came in is, you know, what is your standards, I suppose, acceptable level of formaldehyde?
Sorry, Brett, you just cut out on me there. If you could repeat the question, please.
Yeah. So the question again was, what is your standards acceptable level of formaldehyde?
Oh, I don't have standard. The emission criteria to hand for. I'm not sure what product category they're talking about, but I can certainly, if you want to send that question on to me, I can send. Just the easiest thing to do is to send them a direct copy of the standard criteria. It's very slightly.
So you probably have different criteria depending on what the product is. Is that a better way to answer it, maybe?
Yes.
Flooring. So the question was specifically for flooring, in this case,
yes.
For flooring.
I don't have the standard with me, so I would need to get back to you on that one.
Okay, great. Yeah. So the other question is apparently. Oh, never mind. Nothing on that one. So yeah, I guess. Do you all know of any? So a lot of we oversee and help folks with third-party green certifications, and a lot of green certifications. Reference standards, right? They build themselves off standards. So I guess what I'm going to be announcing here today is that we're excited to announce that Green Star is going to be officially, the Green Star program is going to be officially adopting the Certified Asthma and Allergy Friendly Standard as a way to get health points in many of the different categories. So really excited about that, working with you all to do that. But what about LEED or the National Green Building Standard or Enterprise Green, some of the big names out there? Do any of those standards, or have they started referencing your products to ensure folks are using this and ensuring that when they get points for healthy products, that they're actually verified to do so?
So in reference to, sorry, what was the exact question in that one? We are seeing more engagement across the board, and we are also actively looking to work with other standard organizations. And certainly, I can't attest to their standards, but what I can say is that when we're conducting a literature review in any category, we certainly look to see where the standard levels are in other organizations and take that into consideration in the development of our standards. And we are actively looking to partner with other organizations as well and see where the crossover is and how we can make sure that everything has been taken into consideration. There are a number of organizations that we do actively work with in different product categories, where sometimes we might accept some testing data from third-party laboratories if there are laboratories in common in some of the standard categories. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of great collaboration across the board, not just in terms of standard organizations, but also with retailers as well, actively speccing the certification mark on their buy sheets. If you're making allergy claims or hypoallergenic claims, they would then require you to first do testing through us. So we're seeing a large amount of pickup, not just in the building materials industry, but in textiles as well, cleaning products, a number of different categories.
So I know that indoor air quality testing after a project is completed is becoming more and more important. For example, the LEED program has a credit in there for that. The LEED existing buildings maintenance and operation program has requirements in there if somebody wants to certify to it. Green Star has a credit. Have you actually done any actually in the field testing where maybe a project or a unit or what have you maybe built to the conventional code, didn't use any certified products of yours, and then maybe one actually went through and used as many as they could and seen any kind of actual real-world reductions through that kind of testing, or do you plan to do anything like that?
Yeah, so John could maybe speak a bit more about what we've done in the past with Stanley Steamer and some of the Habitat for Humanity projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, we did a project a number of years ago with Habitat for Humanity. We did exactly as you described there. We remodeled homes at a number of areas which had a high level of asthma and allergies in inner city communities, and we went into the homes. It was in collaboration with Carter Oosterhuis from HGTV, and looked at taking out some of the building materials that had issues with mold, an issue with water damage, and rebuilding out their air handling systems and putting in floor coverings that were certified, paint and wall coverings that were certified, and then textiles, bedding-based products, and then furnace filters by some of our clients, including 3M and Swiffer, and then actually did some kind of coaching and managing and teaching people that once their houses were built in a way and then maintained in such a way that it would be optimum for their asthma and allergy. Now, while that was a very good educational project and we got some very good data out of it, it's actually very difficult to make clinical claims out of something like that. And you need to be very careful when you get into clinical claims and health outcomes because of the various controls of a study like that. And it would be a much, much larger study. Now, we are actually looking to do that again this year. And it may be something that would be interest for your group, but it would be something you would need to put together under the supervision of a center of excellence like a medical school or a hospital or a research institute, and have the correct type of medical cover and the medical performance or indicators of outcomes that you'd like to look at. This is very, very, very topical at the moment. You have the PCORI, Patient Outcome Research Institute, and a lot of the medical data is now looking at patient engagement, We used to call it compliance as doctors. We don't call it anymore. We call it patient engagement. And looking at their health outcomes led about how they want to be empowered and how they want to manage their conditions. So we're actually currently recruiting at the moment with some of our partners to do a larger study like that. It's things we've done smaller versions of it, where we've looked at remodeling and then the environment, but we haven't then gone forward then and done a clinical trial. As I said, they're difficult to do, and they would require large funding and expert oversight.
Great. Well, John, Courtney, I really want to thank you all. We're at our time here today. I want to thank you all for your time. Thank the Allergy Standards for allowing you to do this. And just real quick, one question and then one wrap up here for you. Where can people find more information? And then while you're saying that, would you be willing to, some folks just wanted to see if you would share some of the sources or cite some of the sources of studies you've said, and maybe share that or be able to find that somewhere.
Sure. My contact information is on this page. Any specific questions, just send me an email and I'll get back to you with that. Allergy Standards website is on there as well. And for more of the consumer-facing side, asthmaandallergyfriendly.com would be the place to recommend people to see all of the product categories and products that are certified. So Allergy Standards will have more of the scientific information, and asthmaandallergyfriendly.com would be consumer-facing certified product lookups and databases.
Sure. And if I could add to that, just to answer one of your questions earlier, I was just able to get print off percentages of paint, just for your listeners, about the formaldehyde question. So the level of formaldehyde, we start to measure it at T0. There are other certification standards that allow a burn-in time or a normalization time of 24 hours. We start to measure from T0, and at 24 hours and 48 hours post-application, formaldehyde level needs to be less than 0.05 milligrams per meter cubed, and then at 3-6 hours post-application, it must be below 0.0165 milligrams per meter cubed, which is getting down towards ambient levels, really. So just as an indication, the type of certification criteria for formaldehyde for the paint standard. And to answer your question about more information, absolutely. We, at the Allergy Standards website, or to contact us directly, we're welcoming the input to our standards and different insights of maybe other materials we currently don't have in the program. The more engagement we get from the users and the community and the other stakeholders, the better it makes the standard. So we'd be delighted to engage with the audience and exchange information.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody for joining us. Thank you, John. Thank you, Courtney. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Great. Thank you.